Ladies and gentlemen, good day. I am Bimboy Cadalio Cueno from Foundation University, Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental, Philippines. To give you the background about the school, Foundation University was awarded as the most eco-friendly school in the whole country. It was also well known as the pioneering school in the implementation of the iPad program. The development of the university is not only seen in its impressive campuses, but more so in the intellectual ferment clearly expressed in its revitalized programs of study, the quality of its faculty, and the enthusiastic attitude of its students. So the title of my study is Fixing What's Broken, Prisoners' Phenomenological Journey on the Inmates' Welfare and Development Program. With the assumption that criminals can undo their criminal behavior, inmate rehabilitation is considerably a shoot for the moon ambition of the correction pillar. Rehabilitation is the result of correction evolution, the shift from barbaric into most humane form of punishment. It skirts on the administration of individualized assessment and treatment of the genesis of criminality, treating offenders in the way that medical doctors can cure any forms of diseases. Majority of the studies on inmate rehabilitation were conducted mostly in foreign countries. Thus, findings of these studies might not be generalized in the Philippine setting due to our different culture, correction governance, and working values. Furthermore, inmate rehabilitation requires considerable cost, varied experts, and sufficient amenities which other countries successfully provided. At the opposite, if we will take a look on the nature of our Philippine governance as far as jail or prison management is concerned, our country is characterized by poverty, corruption, and under-resourcing of correctional facilities, which these factors can obstruct full realization of the above prerequisites. With a fragmented system and the tough challenges faced by the Philippine jails and prisons, efficacy of rehabilitation programs is often put into question. Due to variations in the rehabilitation approach, it is not always clear, it is not always unequivocal right now what rehabilitation amounts to or whether it is understood and implemented in accordance with legal intentions. The objectives of my study is that researches on the IWDP or the Inmates Welfare and Development Program in the Philippines are predominantly quantitative in nature. This qualitative research might contribute more in uncovering the lived experiences of prisoners on the Inmates Welfare and Development Program. Also, the results are expected to foreground the issues of the implementation of the IWDP in the Philippine Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. Lastly, the findings could be used in crafting appropriate legal and social interventions which can sustain or at least enhance the program. Now let us go now to the framework of the study. The rhetoric concept of rehabilitation is changing the criminal from being a law violator into a law-abiding citizen of the country. Textural and structural dimensions are presented to describe what the participants experience and in what context or setting the IWDP was experienced. Also, the researcher sheds light on the contribution of a coping resource known as religiosity or spirituality into how inmates at a district jail make sense and respond to IWDP. Now let us go now to the methodology of my research study. This study employed a phenomenological or phenomenology method which was popularized by Edmund Husserl. The investigation was conducted in a district jail in Negros Oriental, Philippines, which had 806 overcrowding rate. Contrarily, the jail was only designed for a standard capacity of 15 inmates or 15 detainees. A total of 21 inmates were subjected for interviews after data saturation was reached. When we say data saturation, it only occurs when no new categories of data emerge or when the researcher begins to hear the same comments over and over again. Furthermore, research triangulation was also employed to obtain the richness of information. So I did not only interview the inmates under the Inmates Welfare and Development Program, but I also had the chance to check the data, the papers and documents in the implementation of the IWDP. At the same time, an interview with the warden who is in charge of the district jail, and also an in-depth interview with the jail officers or jail staff that handles the Inmates Welfare and Development Program. Utilizing purposive sampling method, the criteria in the selection of the 21 participants include: the participant must be confined in a district jail. Second, the participant must have experience in the Inmates Welfare and Development Program for at least 6 months. And to guarantee the credibility, consistency, and trustworthiness of the data collection and analysis, the researcher conducted a thorough briefing or orientation with the participants prior to the interviews, intensive listening during interviews by using a recorder, recording of interviews, careful coding, maintaining reflexive notes, consultation with the jail staffs, and concluding with research experts. Furthermore, consent from the participants themselves was sought. Participants were required to sign an informed consent. From English, it was translated into Cebuano language before the face-to-face in-depth interviews. They were briefed for them to understand the confidentiality and anonymity considerations of the data. Open-ended questions, which were also built in Cebuano language, were asked for them to thoroughly shed light on the issue being investigated. As to the number of participants, because I am using phenomenology approach of my research, Criswell suggested to range the participants from 5 to 20. There are also researchers or authors of qualitative books that suggested to have it 6 to 25. But on my case, I only have 21 number of participants because at that stage or at that number, I reached or I obtained what we call as data saturation. Following the colysis data of analysis, the data was recorded, it was transcribed, it was coded meticulously. At the same time, after coding it, the data undergoes what we call as horizontalization. By following the colysis method of data analysis, the following are the results and discussions. The findings revealed that the inmates' involvement with the IWDP had a laudable impact on their physiological, economic, cognitive, spiritual, and psychosocial facets. Participants proclaimed of having increased skills, gained income, amplified personal relationship, increased locus of control, enhanced cognitive skills, uplifted spiritual reconciliation, and in the participation of the Inmate Welfare and Development Program, participants also confessed of having the character reformation. So what you can see on your screen are positive influences or the positive effects of the Inmates Welfare Development Program on the part of the prisoners. Contrarily, Inmates Welfare and Development Program experiences of study participants are influenced by the work attitudinal skills of the jail staffs. Second, impacted directly by internal elements related to the experience. And third, affected directly by the ecological, physical setup related to the experience. The ecological or physical setup that I am referring to is the overcrowding or the lack of amenities of the district jail. So in here, the program was experienced in a positive tone, which is prompt in rendering services or rendering assistance. In addition, the jail administration and its staff were deemed as expeditious to the plights and demands of its prisoners. However, one saddening result is that the dilemma on overcrowding was seen as a contextual reason for disruptions, inefficacy, and sometimes dispersed participation on various activities of the Inmates Welfare and Development Program. What you can see on your screen shared the same similarity with the district jail where this research study was conducted. From the standard capacity of total 15 inmates, because this district jail is quite small, and it only has the capacity of 15 inmates that should be confined inside that district jail. At the conduct of this study, the jail institution was at its 806.6 overcrowding rate. So you can imagine the very limited space that can be utilized in the conduct of the Inmates Welfare and Development Program. Jail overcrowding has been a perennial problem among various countries across the globe. The bad news is, according to NARAG and the World Prison Brief Institute for Criminal Policy and Research, among these countries, Philippines has been placed as rank 1, this is as of year 2018, in terms of prison overcrowding. When the Philippine President Duterte, or Rodrigo Duterte, initiated his war on drugs, the number of prisoners increased exponentially. You can imagine from 30,000 to 544 total prisoners in the year 2015 to 126,946 in 2016 and going far to 146,302 as of July 2018. Furthermore, the Philippine Commission on Audit, or the COA, in its annual audit with the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or BJMP, reported a 612% congestion rate as of July 2018, which is higher from 512% in 2016. In paragraph A, section 7, rule 7 of Republic Act 10575, it states that an ideal habitable floor area per inmate is only 4.7 meters and the maximum number of inmates per cell should only be 10. These legal provisions, however, has been persistently unheeded by our Philippine government. With these circumstances, participants confessed of having lost interest in the participation of the Inmates Welfare Development Program because of the very limited space. But this research study had a very interesting result. Amidst jail overcrowding, religiosity, or what we call a spirituality, which is an outturn or the result or the impact from the participation of the Inmates Welfare and Development Program, it was seen as a coping resource from the jail overcrowding or from the negative experiences inside the jail. What is more surprising is that due to high overcrowding, participants developed illnesses such as skin infection, paralysis, hypertension, and other forms of illnesses. Yet, these sufferings inside the jail was believed by participants to be part of what we call as God's plan. And jail suffering had a divine purpose. So amidst jail overcrowding with the participation on the IWDP, prisoners claimed to have developed the sense of humility, respect, self-control, patience, love, understanding, and peace of mind. Religion operates based on divine mandates, and sensibly no divine precepts preach antisocial behaviors. Religion is basically holiness, a spiritual trademark. Literature suggests that religion inside the jail promotes beneficial and pro-social outcomes, lower infraction occurrences, and exert a moderate deterrent effect on individuals' criminal behavior. So meaning, the beneficial relationship is not simply a function of religion's constraining function or what it discourages, but also through what it encourages, and that is promoting purposive and law-abiding behavior. So after having reflected on the aforementioned results and discussions, this study concludes that the Inmates Welfare and Development Program experiences of the study participants are described as complex and multifaceted, that is, number 1, affected directly by the ecological physical setup related to the experience, such as overcrowding and lack of amenities. 2, impacted indirectly by internal elements related to the experience. And 3rd, influenced by the work attitudinal skills of the jail staffs. Consequently, their involvement impacted their physiological economic, and psychosocial facets, participants proclaimed of having increased skills, amplified personal relationship, and obtained character reformation. However, its implementation had been greatly impaired by the manifestation of ecological or physical setup of the jail, which in the course of its existence consequently ensued irregularities, inefficacy, disruptions, and sparse participation. With this, participants decried the need of amenities conducive for IWDP. My recommendations is that Inmates Welfare and Development Program has a pivotal role in the rehabilitation of offenders, foregrounding the challenges faced by jail institutions in as far as the implementation of the IWDP is concerned. Local and national government officials should revisit financial apportionment to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. On the other hand, regular evaluation of the implementation of the IWDP should be conducted to sustain or enhance effectiveness. As to the impact or the outcome of this study, since this research investigation was conducted in the year 2019, findings of the study was presented to the local government where the district jail was located. With God's grace, in January 2020, the local government where the district jail is situated already appropriated funds for the construction of a new district jail. Per communication with the jail warden, a new site has already been chosen for the construction. So this is one of the good news that we obtained after presenting the findings or the result to the local government where the district jail was located. I'm not very sure as to the exact number of prisoners that the new facility can hold, but what I'm very sure of is the facility can hold a much bigger number of persons deprived of liberty compared to the current ideal or standard capacity of the district jail that is located in that municipality. The following are the literatures being cited in the conduct of this research study. So before I end my presentation, let me quote from the statement of participant 17. When asked to describe his experience on the IWDP, or the Inmates Welfare and Development Program, he replied, "It is inside the jail where I know God. I talk to Him and I know He listens to me. This is a divine faith. I will not complain, nor will I murmur." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.